When can we take the exams? Here's a calendar. So here's when the SATs and SAT2s are given. January, March, May, June, October, November, and December. Now, I have an asterisk next to March for a couple of reasons. Number one, it's an SAT1 only test date. You cannot take subject tests in March. You can choose to take the SAT1 or the SAT subject test on any other date here, okay, except March. March is also, well, I should say January is the last exam that schools normally allow for a class of applicants. So for example, students who are now class of 2016, like you have a son or a daughter?
No, a son.
You have a son. So for your son, if he's taking the SAT, the last time he can take it and apply for the regular round of applications is January. And it's usually the last Saturday in January, on the 24th or 25th, okay? It's also the reason why the new SAT is debuting in March, because they're waiting for an admission cycle to complete, okay? So you have a whole new bunch of test takers normally starting in March, which is why they're debuting the test in March, okay? Now, with respect to subject tests, listening exams, November is the only test date where they give SAT subject foreign language listening tests. That's important for a number of reasons. Number one, most students take subject tests in November. It's usually the last test date that universities allow you to sit and still accept those scores for the early decision selection process, okay? Another thing too about it is that most schools will consider the reading-only version and the reading-listening version as two separate tests. They are, in fact, two separate tests, even though the skills are virtually identical, okay? But if you're applying to a school like, say, Georgetown, that strongly suggests, i.e. requires, 3 subject tests, you can take, the Spanish at the end of school year in June, and then take the Spanish listening in November, and they count as 2 separate tests, okay? Another word about subject tests, which is you don't want to take a subject test in a foreign language that's also your mother tongue. So for example, if you grew up in a French household, right, or if you grew up in a household where Hebrew was spoken as the predominant language, okay, taking an SAT subject test is actually a double-edged sword. You are expected to get a perfect score. And if you don't, what's wrong with you? So those exams can be a bit of a risk for students, okay? That's why lots of students overseas, say coming from, say, China, or maybe coming from France or Spain, who are all giving, submitting subject tests in their foreign language, and it kind of doesn't really make an impression on the admissions people. Of course you're good at it. You live in Spain.